God, I don't know if I remember how to do this. I'm only messing. This is 112th episode of the Take a Pull podcast, back after a little hiatus for the summer, with Andy Cummins and Declan Carroll and special guest Luke Keena joining us again, maybe fifth or sixth time on the show, Lukey. Good to have you.
Yeah. It's adding up now at this stage. I'll send the invoice anyway.
Very good. Looking forward to it. Right, so this is first time after wind surgery for Deck. So how's everything with you, bud? All good?
Yeah, look, I'm getting there. I've had to watch myself now, and I've probably gone. I probably went a bit hard now. I was in the picnic last week. I met Lukey, and probably done too much. But I doubt the therapist will be too happy with me next week when I go back next Friday. She won't be happy about this either. But too big a weekend to miss, I think, even though it's the flat. But I've plenty of wine and plenty of water here beside me, so we'll see how we get on. We'll get through Leopardstown anyway.
She'd be happy if she watches and gets a Bolivian up, so maybe that's the plan. That's actually last year the Irish Champions Festival, we had it off, especially at Leopardstown. You actually even threw in the ledger winner at Donny for the crack as well, Deck. So it was a very successful podcast last year. I don't doubt this one is going to be as good. I fancy my chances. Maybe I'm too confident after a bit of time off, but we're getting back into full swing. So the Irish Champions Festival obviously is the first port of call. We'll probably be back for Listowel, and then we're pretty much into jump season from there on. It's Navan, Punchestown, Fairyhouse, your Clonmel Thursdays, etc.
Well, I can tell you now, I won't be doing next Thursday because I'm back in the hospital Friday, and we'll get an almighty bollocking now if I talk for an hour or more on Thursday night. So unless you two lads want to do next Thursday for whatever's on,
we'll see how we're feeling. We could do. I think it's Listowel next week, isn't it? So it could be worth down. Right. Well, look, Deck, we'll try to keep it to the old Twitter rules of 140 characters or less for each race. So just keep that voice sweet. Without further ado, we'll just get into it. So the first race at Leopardstown on the Saturday is the Ballylinch Study Irish EBF Ingerbell Stakes, won last year by Shantez, who was the nap of the tap. The year before that by Kitty Rose. And it hasn't been a bad race down the years. We've got a hot favourite at around even money, Diamond Necklace, conditions race winner on debut at the Curragh. The form has taken a knock with the second getting well beat at Gowan next time out. Hasn't really been tested other than that. 1.7 million euros, daughter of St Mark's Basilica and related to Magic Wand, so very, very well related filly. Deck, I'll come to you first in trying in 140 characters or less. Are you with the favourite or are you against her here?
No, I'm against her, Andy, and I think I know you're quite keen, but I think you might be blinded by your love for St Mark's Basilica and
next Galileo.
I know he started to get a few winners. He's hit a bit of form, but and they might be late 2-year-olds, but I don't buy into Sawyers being in form with,
the Sawyers in form.
Sawyers in form. They can hit a purple patch, and they're going well. They're running well at the moment, and she did win well over this trip, but the form hasn't worked out at all, and I think she's on form. She's an awful price, unless there is something. She's by a horse named after a church, and unless there's something there,
divine intervention. Is that what you're trying to get at?
Unless there is, I just think she's a terrible price, and she's a lay for me. Gavin Cromwell has 2 fillies in here. I was down at Gavin's back in April. Peter Rowe invited us down. You couldn't make it, Andy. They were a bit excited about their 2-year-olds.
He's had a good year with them.
Sorry?
He's had a good year with them. He's had a good few 2-year-olds.
Mighty Danu, she's an auction maiden winner. And Brownstown was the one that I think they thought the most of. She's a caution distance maiden winner. She's been held twice since then. She was 5th in a Group 2. Like, it's not bad form running in a listed race here. But the one I really, really like is Noel Meade's Caught You Sleeping. She was green when she won a maiden at Naas. The 4th was 2nd at Gowran. 2 lengths ahead of Minerva. Minerva was a length behind Diamond Necklace, I think, in that maiden she won. Kensington Lane has beat Minerva at Gowran by
It
a
was
bit of a
Kensington
distance.
Lane, yeah.
But
Yeah, she won well.
She's ran 5 times, whereas Caught You Sleeping has ran once, and I think she's won very green. I think there's going to be a lot of improvement here. If the penny drops, which I think it will have, like she's got the job done on debut, so I'd be keen enough now on her. I don't think this race will take loads of winning, particularly with that, with Diamond Necklace setting the market. I think it's well worth having a good go at Caught You Sleeping at a nice price.
Very good. So Caught You Sleeping then for Deck. And Lukey, who do you fancy here?
I'm a Deck there, taking on the favourite. There's been one winning favourite since 2018. She won well first time up. She could improve, but at 10 to 11, would I be a player? No, I think I'd be against her, especially with the form. Minerva there, I don't think she's up to much. She let the form down at Goran. I thought Deck was going to mention my one there. He gave her a mention, but I thought he's going to stick with her. But I'm going to go with Brownstown for Gavin Cromwell. She's returning back to course and distance that she won her maiden over. I know she was bet twice, but she ran to a similar level behind Composing, who's our favourite for the Moiglair on Sunday. They return to slower ground here. I think she might just get her own way in front. I wouldn't be against. I can see where Deck is coming from with Caught You Sleeping there. I was just reading the quotes here, and Noel Meade was looking for a jockey that could hold on to her the first day. Thought she might be a bit keen, and he rang Kevin Ryan, and Kevin said Dylan would ride her, but he might have to put a pound over. Noel said she'll win if he does the weights. And sure enough, she did win first time up, which would be something for a Noel Meade horse first time up. But I just side with Brownstown. That bit of experience and better races, probably this isn't going to take a whole pile of winning, and she's around 12 to 1 there each way. There's a decent shape to the market with Diamond Necklace in there taking up a good chunk of it, so I'd be happy to take a chance on her each way.
Very good. So that's
Sounds like you're
Brownstown
off with Stinger, Andy.
I'm
staying.
yeah. Well, I'm going to stick with the favourite. I might well be blind. I could well be blinded, but I love the sire. There's no two ways about that. I think he's going to be a fantastic stallion in the future as well. He's got off to a fantastic start, especially as we go into the autumn. I would have a minor query maybe about the ground, given that she's related to Chiquita and Magic Wand. I think Chiquita acted on soft, but that could just be the fact that she was trained in France. I know the day she won at she won the Irish Oaks. I'm pretty sure it was a road that day. And then Magic Wand, she travelled the world and usually encountered pretty quick ground. But I thought the race that she won on debut, it's usually won by very good horses. I'm just trying to remember the subsequent Group 1 winner that won it last year that was actually beaten in it. Or she won Group 1, last year as a 3-year-old, but she was beaten in it a few years ago with Paddy Toomey filly. I just can't remember her name. She, the same colours, the same Aidan O'Brien colours there. But anyway, it'll come back to me. It usually is a good conditions race, and to win it first time up and defy a big walk in the market. I think she opened in the morning time 4, 5, 6 to 1. She went out to double figure. She came back in late into around 9 or 10 to 1 and was well on top of the line. I do take the fact that the second was beaten on her next start, but I think Diamond Necklace was well on top of the line, and to win a race of that kind of stature on debut, I think is quite impressive. And I would agree with you guys that it's probably not the strongest Ingerbell Stakes we're ever going to see. So I'll stick with the favourite, Diamond Necklace. It's Brownstown for Lukey and Caught You Looking for Deck.
Caught You Sleeping.
Caught You Sleeping. Caught You Looking was the one that ran in the Oaks for Noel Meade, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A few years ago. Caught You Sleeping. Sorry, Deck. Right, on to the Sovereign Path, which when the Irish Champions Festival started, was used to be the last race at Leopardstown. It's now the second race for the first time. Unfortunately, only a field of 16, so this race hasn't filled. I think it didn't fill last year either, and we've kind of seen that as a theme with handicaps in Ireland at this level. this season, like the Irish Cambridge a few weeks ago didn't fill. Maybe a little bit embarrassing to be not being able to fill races at this level at festivals of this magnitude, but that's a story for another day. We still got a very competitive field of 16. One of my better bets on the card here would be Tribal Nation. I'll speak about him in a few minutes, but first I will come to you, Lukey. Who do you fancy here?
I think last year's winner might go back to back here. Dance Night and Day for Ross O'Sullivan. Had a few good runs this year in pattern races. He was a good second behind Vera Seeker over course and distance. The Gleneagle Bay is probably likely to be favourite. He is good form too without getting his head in front. He's also second in the race last year behind Dance Night and Day. And Dance Night and Day comes out a few pound better off this year. She gave him £5 last year, only has given him £2 this year. I think she's just come to the boil now. She's going to need a bit of luck in running. She's drawn 8. She's probably going to be out the back. Ronan gave her a class ride last year to get her up on the line to beat Gleneagle Bay. I think there's a good bit of pace in here. Dunham will go on. There's a few others that like to get along early. I think she could just pick up the pieces late on here.
Very good. Dance Night and Day. Yeah, Ross O'Sullivan won the race last year, as you said, Lukey. I do think there's a very strong contingent of 3-year-olds in this race. Obviously, one Smack Mac, first time gelded, as is Tribal Nation. Like they're two very strong 3-year-olds. They're the only 3-year-olds in the field, but I'd give them both a very good chance. Deck, up to yourself then. Who's your fancy here?
Yeah, I see where Lukey's coming from at Dance Night and Day. She does go well here. She won it last year, as Lukey said, but I would be slightly concerned about the ground her. Whereas Gleneagle Bay does handle soft. He's been runner up both times. That soft has been in the description. His only win is on the all-weather. He was ahead second last year, but I'd be siding with you, Andy. Tribal Nation, he won on heavy as a 2-year-old. He's one of the least exposed in the race, and I think there's a lot in his favour here.
Yeah, I would agree. So he's been obviously gelded first time, beat Mississippi River in that heavy ground maiden you were talking about on debut, Deck, or not on debut, sorry, in his final start as a 2-year-old. Mississippi River has they actually reopposed then at Nace at the end of April. Mississippi River finishing second, Tribal Nation finishing third. There was a difference of 2 lengths between them that day. Tribal Nation was giving Mississippi River £8. If Mississippi River was to reoppose, and he was entered before declarations, he was actually giving Tribal Nation £10 for 2 lengths. Now, as I said, Mississippi River, I think, had 4 or 5 runs subsequently at Nace, and Tribal Nation has only had 2. One of which was him getting beaten at 1-3 at Killarney, where he tried to make all the running. But that run in the Britannia, in between those runs where he was 6th, he tried to defy a pretty heavy draw bias. So if you look at the Britannia, stall 29 beat 30, beat 28, beat 27, beat 31. Tribal Nation was 6th in stall 12. 5th column was 7th in stall 9, and 5th column is subsequently rated 102. So he's gone up £10 after running in that Britannia from a low draw. Tribal Nation ran from that low draw and was probably best of the rest from anything that had a run up the kind of Golden Highway. As I said, first time gelded, rated 92, probably unexposed. Also could add that he ran in a pretty strong Guineas trial at the start of the season behind Henri Matisse. Arizona Blazers well fancied for the Flying Five. Comanche Brave was in there. I just think he's very solid and is quite unexposed off 92, and I'd be pretty surprised if that was the best of his ability. So I'd be quite sweet on Tribal Nation. I think he's got a fantastic chance. But like Dance Night and Day, he might need a little bit of luck, because I think he will be ridden cold. So hopefully he can come home and get up late. So Tribal Nation for Deck and I, and Dance Night and Day for Lukey. Right, on to the KPMG Champion Juvenile, Group 2, over 1 mile for the 2-year-olds. This is becoming a 9 furlong Group 1 next year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So this will be the last year of this race in this format. We've got a quintet of a boy named Susie for Donica O'Brien, Benvento Chiellini for Aidan, along with Montreal, Hardy Warrior for Joseph, and Neilbua Gondua. My Irish isn't very good, but that's also for Joseph there, the outsider of the field, and also the only maiden in the field. Deck, I'll come back to you here. Who do you like out of these 5?
I thought I was gonna like Montreal, and I thought earlier on the week I was like, yes, this will be my bet of the weekend. Like he did win like a good horse over Carson distance. I think it was by nearly 10 lengths or something.
Yeah.
But like when you go through the form with soft and description, like Benvenuto, Cellini, is that what we're going with?
Cellini or yeah, I suppose we gotta say Chiellini or Cellini, whatever.
Yeah,
My Italian isn't up to scratch either.
He's won well with soft and description at Killarney, second to Dorset on debut. Hardy Boy beat Montreal here the night we were there. I think it was the night we were there, wasn't it? When
it was the first race. The Montreal basically fell out of the stalls. They really gave away a lot of lengths, but he was putting his place by Hardy Warrior 6 or 7 lengths, I think it was. But he was clueless. Like clueless would actually doesn't do clueless justice. He was very, very green.
So, I am struggling to remember a lot of racing from that night because
it's stuck in the flybar.
I think we went pretty hard, and myself and Luke ended up. You slept with a tricolour over you that night, Luke, did you?
Yeah, now that you mention it, I think so, yeah.
Standard Thursdays.
You don't remember much now. It was a good night anyway. But Hardy Boy, he beat Montreal, but he was behind Benvenuto Cellini at Killarney when it was soft in the description. I just think with the ground the way it is going to be soft. It's all pointing to Benvenuto winning this, and I just, unless Montreal is what we seen when he won by 8 lengths, unless he's going to turn out to be a freak, all the form on the likely going is pointing towards Benvenuto.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. It's hard to gauge. Like Montreal was very, very green on debut. Hardy Warrior was very, very green at Killarney. Both horses improved for their second starts, and as did Benvenuto, who did have that run, as you said, at the Curragh behind Dorset. It's a typical. You're just dealing with 2-year-olds, and they can obviously improve at different stages. Lukey, who do you like out of these 5?
I'd probably be with Deck here, Benvenuto. It's probably more so likely to be a price thing. Like I'm just looking at it here. He's 11-8 and Montreal is 6-4. I'd imagine that they're going to flip flop closer to the off with Sumion being on Montreal. I could see Benvenuto drifting out to closer to 2-1. I'd be happy enough to take a chance on him at around 2-1. Like Deck said, he came on plenty for his first run to win the second day. Down in Killarney, bit of soft ground form, won't be any harm here. Leopardstown, it looks like it's just going to be on the slow side over the weekend. A boy named Susie was impressive on debut, but it wasn't up to it till the next day, and you'd be disappointed if he used to beat either of O'Brien's here. It's Aiden against the 2 sons here with only the 5 here, but I'd be with Benvenuto Chiellini. I go Chiellini.
Okay. You might be right, yeah.
Chiellini. I said this last year about this race, and I turned out to not be correct, but I feel like whoever's in front of the 2 furlong pole is probably going to win this race. And I imagine it's going to be one of Aiden's. I think both horses made all to win their maidens. Montreal easily got the run of the race more, I think, in his maiden that he won. He won more impressively, ran out an 8-length winner, but Wayne kind of kept him up to his work. But yeah, it's a bit of a toss-up. It's probably not advisable to jump in. There's probably better bets on the card. Because these 2-year-olds they've all improved massively from their first run to second. What I saw at Leopardstown that night, though, with Montreal, the way he just bounded away, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a prime Derby hope next year for Aiden. I think he'd be first, second string, possibly at Epsom. And I will trust what I saw, and I'll go with him. 6-4. I think he'll reverse the form with Hardy Warrior. I think you can't really. I don't think you can judge Montreal based on that run. Like he lost the race after 100 yards. Like he badly missed the start and then was clueless. Looked like a different horse that next time out. I think he's going to improve again, and possibly Christophe Sumion getting the nod ahead of Ronan Whelan, who's on Benvenuto Chiellini. I think you can look into that jockey booking as quite the positive as well. So I'm going to stick with Montreal, and you 2 lads are on the Italian. Is that correct?
You're sounding like that guy on Twitter tonight, and he loves all the
Which one?
O'Brien horses.
It's about to end. Don't worry, because the next race, the CMG Group Stakes, 1.5 miles, brings back a Tap Hall of Famer and Trust Your Instinct under Declan McDonough. He's a 92 shot. Sons and Lovers, a winner over the course and distance last time out, 9-2. Alassi, the 8-year-old, 13-8. I could get egg on my face. He could be the worst price horse of the week. And you've got obviously Sunchart, a beloved one of Deck, Acapulco Bay, who owes me a fortune, and then we've got Convergent and a few others in here as well. So it's strong enough at Group 3. It always is a good race, can often be a pointer towards the Melbourne Cup as well. So Deck, I'll come to you first. Who do you like here?
Look, obviously, I need to start with Trust Your Instinct. He won this last year. Rarely runs a bad race, and can carry weight, is a hurdle winner. Awful shame that they gelded him, because like racing wise, I don't think it ever looked like he needed to be gelded, and you could have a group winner on the flat and a hurdle winner. Like in France, he wouldn't have been gelded, and I just think it's we're missing a trick. I know we've discussed this before on here. Like I don't understand it. Like he's fairly prolific on the flat. I think he's a potential Group 1 horse. Like if he was mine, I might be targeting a King George or something with him. And until you go and try, you just don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Because like I think he's probably something like 50% on the flat. He's travelled abroad as well. You know, he's been to Italy, he's been to Saudi Arabia at the end of last season or the beginning of this season, but like he's put up to the likes of Jan Bruegel last year. But in saying that, like I would genuinely think about Group 1s with this fella, because the middle distance division, I don't know. We kind of scoff at horses that improve to be genuine Group 1 12 furlong horses now, and like I don't know why we do that. You know, they're entitled to improve with age, and like you have the likes of that horse that beat Calpana the weekend. What was he called?
Giavaletto.
Yeah, like, you know, these horses are out there doing the business, and I just don't. It's just not a sexy division anymore. But this horse, if he was mine, I'd go and find out. I wouldn't have gelded him first, but I'd go and find out if he's good enough. So in saying that, I think he has to be good enough here. But, you know, there's a horse in here pulling at me heartstrings, and Sunchart did beat him on heavy in March at Nice. He gave him £5. He gets £3 today. There's 4 lengths between them. He'll handle the ground. He's won over hurdles in May. He ran in the Galway hurdle as well. I think Trust Your Instinct is the most likely winner, but Sunchart is way too big a price to not just roll the dice and have a couple of euro each way in him. Convergence in the second in the German Derby. The German Derby form is not working out well in Germany. He was third to Lambourne at Chester. I don't think the 3-year-olds are all that this year, apart from a couple of the fillies. I think a couple of the fillies could be exceptional. I did think World was one of them, but she's let that down the weekend. But I think it was too bad to be true. I don't think that the 3-year-old colts are up to much. So I'm a bit cold on Convergent, but yeah, Trust Your Instinct I think is the most likely winner, and I will back him, but I will have a couple of euro each way on Sunchart because he has beaten him and he'll handle the ground.
Yeah, good old Sunchart. You could argue in great form as well from the start. He's usually a start of the season, end of the season type of horse. Is he possibly best when fresh? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I could see where you're coming from with Trust Your Instinct. My only 2 queries: we haven't seen him in 77 days, so why is that? And I'd say he's maybe 5, 6, 7 pounds better on good ground. Like he can act on soft, absolutely no 2 ways about it, but I think he'd be a better horse on good ground. And then you have Sons and Lovers in here, who I think he kind of dictated the race the last day at Leopardstown. got the better of Crystal Black, who was having his first run after a little layoff himself. I think he's got a good chance as well for Joseph. And then Convergent, who you mentioned there, Deck, was probably a little bit unlucky in the German Derby. He was quite keen. I know the race hasn't worked out too well, but the Chester Vase before that with Lazy Griffin Lambourne was some of the kind of better 3-year-old form on offer this season. Granted, he is tackling his elders for his first time. Luke, where are you going here?
I'll be siding with one of the 3-year-olds. His Deck is after fighting all over them. I'm with Murtagh's horse here, Rayenzi. Now this lad, I just remember when he ran the Gallinule and he turned it into bumper cars up the straight there, and he tried to take everything out of it. Crossed the line in front, got disqualified, placed into third. He came out. Since then, he ran at Ascot. Nothing ever really went right for him, and then he got the cruelest chop of them all before Navan the last day, when he carried plenty of weight in the handicap, and he looked like the winner all up the straight. Ben kicked good and early, and he just got collared late on by one that was carrying 8 sticks with £3 off for Joseph. I think he's a group horse. Stepping up to 1.5 miles, the soft ground won't be an issue for him. He won his maiden at Navan on soft ground. It's just when you're looking at those at the top of the market, I'd be happy enough to take on Al Azi, who's likely to drop in from 6, and he could be in for a horrid trip around there trying to get gaps up the straight there. Daniel Tudhope is on. I'd imagine that's his first time on. Looking at him here.
I'll check that for you now.
Sons and Lovers, as Andy was saying, he got to run the race the last day. Crystal Black wasn't fully tuned up, and just set a nice slow pace, and it looked like Crystal Black was going to go by him. Probably just lacked a bit of fitness, and Sons and Lovers just grinded it out. There was talk of him being a Melbourne Cup horse after that, so they might have one eye on that. Convergent, yeah, he's that race in Germany. I'm not going to pretend now that I know much about the German form, but he ran a good race in Chester behind Lambourne, made the run, and Lazy Griff was back in second that day. It was a good race. But I just take a chance on Rayenzi here down the bottom, 9-1. He's getting plenty of weight off the likes of Trust Your Instincts, Sons and Lovers, and Al Azi, who all have to carry the penalty. I think he's a group horse, and we were going to find out here. The 1.5 miles shouldn't be an issue. He's around 16-1. I'd take a chance on him.
It's weight for age, is it? I don't think.
No, the 3 have a penalty, don't they?
Oh, do they?
Trust your,
Yeah, they do. Trust Your Instinct, Sons and Lovers, and Al-Assi all carry £3 penalties, yeah. And then, yeah, so you've got the weight for age, Convergent, 9 stone 1. I think the normal weight, 9 stone 9. I'm going to stick with Convergent myself. I was going to have a pretty decent bet on him at Royal Ascot before he was withdrawn. I think he was supposed to run the King Edward. The ground probably went a bit quick for him. He's probably the one horse that I think the rain is going to really suit. Obviously, being by Fascinating Rock, was a soft ground red car winner on his only start at 2. Probably won't count for much, but he does have quite a rounded action. I think there's a lot of potential for him to improve, and I think he's going to make a really, really nice 4-year-old for Carl Burke, who is having a wonderful season, actually, in fairness to him. Could see him being right up in the van and kind of kicking off the bend. He'd be probably up there at one of Joseph's. I probably will forecast him to beat Trust Your Instinct, who I would have been quite sweet on if the ground was that little bit faster, and we'd maybe seen him in between now and his last win, which I think was the Royal Whip, possibly. Or no, I think it was the Kevin Prendergast, wasn't it? The International Stakes, they renamed it. I would have actually liked to have maybe seen Trust Your Instinct in the Irish Ledger. I thought that might have been an option for him for Sunday. Obviously, they decided to not go up and trip with him though. Convergent for myself. Deck is on Trust Your Instinct and maybe Sunchart, isn't it?
No, I'll be on Trust Your Instinct.
Unless,
like, if it gets very soft. But look, come here, the World Pill.
Yeah, they'd be like, what's a Sunchart? He'd be $1 million.
Yeah.
He'd be $1 million. What's an Andrew Slattery? That's no chance.
Yeah. No, you don't know the colours. Like, what's this? You don't see those colours in Hong Kong. So, a couple of pieces of coin each way on Sunchart at $1 million. Okay,
Sunchart at $1 million, and then it's Convergent and it's Rayenzi for Luke in his first time HUD. Right, the 425, the first Group 1 of the weekend is the Coolmore America Justified Matron Stakes. Group 1 for the fillies over a mile. Not the strongest renewal at the Matron Stakes we're probably ever going to see. Fallen Angel currently are 2-1 favourite, or January, depending where you look. It's 2-1, 9-4, depending on where you're shopping for your betting these days. January with our first time cheek pieces. We've Saracen for Joe Murphy, a good second in the Nassau Stakes last time out. She comes back and trip to the same distance as she won the Coronation Stakes at Royal Ascot over. This race can confuse you though, because Astilia has form over a few of these. It's 25-1. California Dreamer, second in the Irish Guineas, got a very enterprising front runner ride. She's 28-1. Saracen is obviously the improver. She's finished ahead of Exactly and January, I think, in this season as well. So it's a tough one. You could talk yourself into nearly any horse in this field, Luke, but which one have you talked yourself into?
I keep on telling myself I'm not going to back January. I'm not going to back January. It's like the Bart Simpson thing on the school board there, the blackboard. I'm not going to back January. I'm not going to back January. But I keep on coming around to her. Yeah. She obviously doesn't win enough, and she's 9-4 there. This might be a bit tight, but I think today could be or Saturday could be her day. She has her first time cheek pieces. She often travels like she's going to find more than she does. Hopefully the cheek pieces can bring that little bit extra out for her. Like, she was just behind Cersei and Zarigana at Ascot. Like, she's been bet half a length then in Newmarket in the fillies Group 1, the Falmouth, before she went on to Deauville, and just ahead behind Fallen Angel again when she looked like she was going to win. I think the race might just set up for her here. She's drawn out of 7. I'd say to keep it fairly straightforward. Like, she is a daughter of I Can Fly. It's kind of fairly similar. Over the
carbon
mile.
Copy.
Yeah. She always just runs a good race without ever getting there. It's kind of her motto. But I think Saturday could be her day here. She's going to get a bit of soft ground, which she won't mind. Hopefully the cheek pieces can make her a bit more resolute in the finish.
Yeah, I can see where they're coming from, but I've been stung on her now a few times January, so like the only thing kind of first about her is that she's named after the first month of the year really these days. I think I really see a lot of seconds now creeping in, and it would just make you think about it at the current price that she's at, around 2-1, 9-4. Deck, I can see you looking towards Bar here, because there's a few that you could honestly talk me into any of these runners. Really, it's very, very open, I think. But who do you like?
Look, January has been knocking on the door. She's a 3-year-old. I don't mind the 3-year-old fillies. I'd have them ahead of the Colts, but I still don't think it's a vintage year. And then I will go for one. Fallen Angel, like, she caught January on the line. She gave her 7 that day. She's only given her 5 on Saturday. One that's very, very interesting, I think. And as you said, Andy, the race it's wide open. It's fair secret. She's won all 3 starts here at Leopardstown. She's a good bit to find on ratings. She is a 6-year-old, but she only ran 10 times. And like we've spoken about, I know this is a mile. We were talking about middle distance horses improving with age, but she's only had the 10 starts. She's 6. It is a big step up in class for her, but sometimes horses for courses, and I can see her running a big race, and definitely outrunning her odds. You did mention Astilia, that she's far ahead of some of these, and she beat Saracen at the beginning of the season, but she's done absolutely nothing since.
Disappointing since, yeah.
Oh yeah, I backed her in the Irish Guineas, but Saracen has been having a great year. She's finished ahead of January in the Coronation. She chased home World, who I think is one of, she's up there with Minnie Hawk in this crop of fillies. I think I am prepared to put a line through the run at the weekend. That was on heavy ground in the Nassau Stakes when she chased her home. She's my idea to win her here on soft ground, and I think the marker has her completely wrong on the form she's shown. It's probably down to connections. Like, I know January has been consistent, but Saracen has been consistent, and she's won a Group 1, beaten January. So, that she handled the ground at Goodwood, and it was like I know it was probably so heavy. It might have been a bit easier than it's going to be on Saturday, unless we have a shower right before this race. Probably the only thing to make the ground similar.
It was good Irish yielding ground over in Goodwood that day.
Was he? Yeah, after the tsunami, after the hurricane dropped on it. That's the one there. There was the tape start, wasn't it? And Ryan Moore stalled 5 lengths.
She probably just didn't stay that day in Goodwood either.
She was still a good second all the same, though.
Yeah,
she was never closing at the line. The third was probably getting to her.
I think the market has her wrong. I'd
agree. 4-1, you're give or take, depending on where you are, about 4-1 average. Yeah.
That's down to connections.
I'd agree. I'd have her favourite personally. Look, I thought her run in the Coronation was pretty remarkable, given that they went really, really hard. She was up in the van with the likes of Judy First and Falakea, and I think one of the pacemakers exactly was right up there. They faded away out the back of the telly, and then she quickened with them as they faded away. She then fought off all the closers. Diaga Canfield, her name's escaping me. She headed her and she fought back. Saragana. Now she could be a little bit shelly, but Saracen, in my opinion, didn't really have the right to fight back after how hard she went early on, and she did. And then it got to the Nassau Stakes. I'm like, she's had an absolute haymaker at Royal Ascot, and in fairness to her, she battled all the way to the line chasing Whirl. I take your point that maybe she didn't see out the 10 as well as hoped, but I wouldn't say she didn't get it at the same time. She's a big improver, the apple of Joe Murphy's eye, and I think I would have her favourite. Have I talked myself into having a bet in such an open race? I'm not sure. But
few points on you by this race.
Probably on my third point here. I'll be heading downstairs. Yeah, probably third. I'm going to be responsible. But yeah, no, I would fancy her to at least be favourite. The market have her a little bit wrong. There's probably a little bit of value at 4-1. I would expect it to come in a little bit, unless unless the whirlpool, they're like magpies to Aidan O'Brien. I don't know.
There'll be a price in the whirlpool. They'll be like, John Murphy, he made up Irish man.
Exactly. Okay, so Sarah's a made up Irish man.
It's John Murphy. They just wrote a name down there in the card.
It is a kind of in fairness, it is a name. It's like you're just making up a person. It's like Joe Murphy went to the shop and you're using it as an example, like a teacher's name. Anyway, so Sarah's saying for Joe Murphy, I'm going to take her to win this. Deck, do you agree?
Yeah.
And Lukey, are you sticking with the serial 2nd January, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Gonna be serial winner after today.
What price is there for the secret?
12-1. I would say priced accordingly, given I'd be suspect of her staying a mile at this level. Yeah. I think her best form's over 7, but I can see your point though.
12 short. I thought she'd be much bigger.
She'd be bar.
I can't understand she's 12-1. Sarah saying is 4-1.
Yeah, but again, Whirlpool,
yeah, get on, couple of euro if the place. The only thing is, January and Fallen Angel are too good for Very Secret to follow Cersei and home.
They probably are, and Severa Secret likes to get on with it as well, which is probably another negative because she's not going to get her own time here up front. I would have thought. Right, on to another mile, Group 2, formerly the Boomerang Miles, now the Tony Bet Solonaway Stakes at 4:55. A field of 10 and a few in here that owe me a fortune. Expanded probably being the biggest culprit. I've been really disappointed with him this year, unfortunately. We've got Alakazi. I think he owes me a few quid as well after Luke said he was the second coming of Frankel at the start of the season. Now, in fairness, he did win his maiden, but hasn't probably lived up to it since. And then
I can't believe you're throwing out stick like that when we're covering a race with Expanded in it.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
At least this lad won.
I had Expanded
for
the 1,000 guineas and the oaks.
I actually walked into the bookies and said expanded to win the lot, and then just said, give me a price. Anyway, right now the one, any price is a good price, and he'll probably mug me off here today because my best bet on the card is in this race, along with Tribal Nation. It's Skakuza, which I'll get to in a minute for Ed Dunlop, but I'll get Lukey's opinion first on this group too.
Yeah, it as you were saying, Alakazi was kind of a fan favourite at the start of the year, and he got a few listeners off to a good start of the year that day. They met me in Leopardstown. Yeah, I'm with you here with Skakuza. He's unlucky at York there the last day. He's been improving through the ranks all year. He won the big handicap. It was Guineas weekend at the Curragh. Ryan Moore rode it. 1 off 95, and it's just been rising through the ranks since. Obviously, a bet Alakazi at the Curragh Derby weekend. Then, yeah, he was unlucky at York the last day. He finished like a train down the outside. That was over 9. He steps back a furlong here. I don't think that'll be an issue here. Stall 7, Chris Hayes is on. I'd say you keep it fairly simple.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's a fast improving 4-year-old who, yeah, he got quite unlucky at York. He's already beaten Alakazi, who I think it's 3-1 versus 5-1. I don't give Alakazi much chance of reversing that form personally.
And he's
already
given more
showed
weight this time, or less
exactly weight. Yeah, so I just don't. I just don't see that happening. The only thing I could see is possibly the ground playing a factor. It could be softer than ideal for him, but at the same time, I'm happy to take that risk. There's probably not enough evidence that he doesn't handle it just yet. So, yeah, I'd be quite confident on Skakuza. Deck, is it a trio or are you going somewhere else?
No, Copacabana Sands. I forgive.
Another one of those may have fortune.
I'll forgive the Tipperary run as that was on the all-weather according to the Post. But he did win twice before that, like 8 furlongs would suit. He's won on soft here at Leopardstown. I don't know who's doing the markets for the weekend, but
she is a big price now. I'm talking about the runner in the mate. I thought they'd run her in the matron. So they're coming here for some reason.
And you're not having the lot on.
Well, no, I thought they would. Like if there's a Fillies Group 1 or an Open Group 2, I thought they'd just go for the Fillies Group 1, especially because the matron looks open. Like I'd give her the same chances winning this almost as she probably would in the matron. To be honest with you. Yeah,
well look. Yeah, I think I'd be quite keen now. I'd be quite keen a couple of these big prices once. This will be some Bolivian the weekend.
Yeah, no, Mick O'Callaghan's done some job at this filly in fairness. He's improved her immensely. But I don't really know what happened now. She was quite weak in the market. Like she was, 5-2 late on. I think she went off 9-2 or something. I think 9-2, 5-1, but she was much shorter, 2.5 points shorter. And then just lost a leg in the ring. The hood goes on. The hood stays on it, I should say. I wouldn't put you off her. She's a big price, 22-1 Deck. So
yeah, look, I'm confident about the big prices ones I like, and we've paid for wedding cakes before with some of our tips, but I tell you, after
trips to Egypt and wedding cakes,
there'd be people getting married in the Bahamas with the Rolling Stones playing, and we'll have paid for it all.
Sunchart to be best man at this rate, probably. Right, fly him over. Okay, so Copacabana Sands for Deck, and it's Skakuza for Lukey and I for the group 2. Wouldn't put you off Copacabana Sands in fairness. She had an each way chance for sure. I might do a little forecast. Right, the Royal Bahrain Irish Champion Stakes over 10 furlongs, the main event on day 1. A field of 8, and Delacroix, who was odds on at the start of the week at declaration stage, is 11-8. Probably the standout 3-year-old at this distance in Ireland. I would probably say standout 3-year-old even ahead of Lambourne. I know he was beaten at York, but Delacroix's beaten him already. Good to see White Birch back for John Murphy. I still think they should have ran him maybe in the pre-foie. I think it's probably time to go to 1.5 miles with him. I can completely understand going to the Irish Champion Stakes and maybe the Arc. The Irish Champion Stakes form tends to stand up well in the Arc most years anyway. We've got Anmat over Shin Emperor. He ran in it last year, didn't he? Possibly a little bit unlucky last year. Just didn't really have the tactical speed to take a pretty important gap. Wouldn't put you off him this year either. Mount Kilimanjaro's in here for the crack. We've got Zaran, who has he won the Royal Whip Stakes last time out, I think, beating his 300-1 pacemaker in second. So a competitive enough Champion Stakes. I've definitely seen much better Champion Stakes, no two ways about that, but it's going to be a brilliant race. It always is. It's my favourite race in the world to watch live, because seeing how fast these horses go down the back straight, like, there's no let up at Leopardstown. It's just a pleasure usually to watch how good the horses are at Leopardstown, how quick they actually travel and hit the line. It's a fantastic race. Dec, I'll come to you first.
You'd rather watch this live than a champion hurdle?
Oh yeah, 100%. A champion hurdle, they're fucking miles away from you.
No,
and maybe an Irish champion hurdle.
Well, a Dublin Chase.
Dublin Chase. Okay, I'll give you a Dublin Chase. But
look, I thought at the beginning of the season, I was at Leopardstown when Delacroix won, and I was very, very taken by him. I thought he looked very fast. Yeah. I said on here, I was confident he wouldn't get the 1.5 miles, and I was well against him going to Epsom. He won the Eclipse. Everything went wrong for him. Everything went wrong that day, and he won. And was going, whoa. And then he was beat at York, and I know the pacemaker went off at a silly gallop, but I thought he was beaten at York fair and square, to be honest, and I was a bit disappointed with him. And it is an awful shame now that, like, we're crying out for, these clashes in racing. It's 1-1 with him and Ombudsman, and Delacroix travelled twice to race him. Ombudsman got a bit of help the last day, you could say, and Gosden hasn't travelled. I just think it's piss poor, really, to be honest. And like I've been saying years about him, I think he's full of shit. People don't see through his voice. I think he's full of shit, and I'm glad Aidan kind of, very unlike him, kind of said it half joking, half serious. And the fact he's not here, I think it's a disgrace he's not here, to be honest, because Aidan O'Brien gets a lot of stick, but he never shirks the challenge, and he will go anywhere to run his horses, and they'll get beaten, and they'll turn up again. And I just think, like, what other races for him? For that horse?
There's for Ombudsman.
Yeah.
It's Breeders' Cup, isn't it?
Yeah, like, come on. But real racing on turf, like, on grass, like, where there's no other race for him. This is really, like, he can go to the Bud Championships at Ascot, can't he? After the National Hunt season has started, like, I suppose. But, like, give racing, like, British racing's on his knees, and there's a, kind of a pretend strike yesterday, and it's rescheduled meetings, and, like, give people this clash, like, let's have it out, like, you know what I mean? And they might have it out again at Ascot, and they might finish 2-2 at the end of the season, or they might finish 3-1 to Ombudsman. But I just think it's really, it's poor, it's bad form, and, like, what is the point in being involved? What is the point in having these good horses? They're not going to take each other on. It's really, really poor. But look, he's not here, and he might have beaten Delacroix again, because I was disappointed with him after York, and I didn't think this horse would be beaten over 10 furlongs this season, and I probably said that on here. I thought he looked so fast, and he gets the trip really well, that I didn't think anything would beat him. So the fact he was beaten, and I think was beaten fair and square, I'm kind of siding with Johnny Mortis. Zaran, I was really impressed with him when he won. Was it a listed race here back in June? He won like a good horse. He was unlucky at Ascot, and then, like, he probably had a few excuses at Ascot, and he did travel, like Ombudsman isn't, but he's won well again at the Curragh. I know Los Angeles is probably not the force he once was, but this horse is steadily improving. I think he's a really nice horse. I think he's going to go on and improve again. Hopefully he stays in training. He could be an arc horse next year. Who knows? Has he got an entry this year?
No, I think they're leaving it this year. He's a champion stakes entry in Ascot.
You're right. Look, wins this well, they might change their mind. White Birch in here goes well fresh. Back from in the Derby when he fell out of stalls, finished third, I think. Don't think he's been the best campaigned horse we've ever seen. He might have a few issues. Hot as hell beat Delacroix in the Racing Post Trophy at Doncaster last year. He won the Beresford. He was well beaten the Clips. Jesse's just haven't really fired this year. So, because of the disappointment with Delacroix after York, and the improvement Zaran has shown, I'll go with Zaran here.
Zaran for deck. Luke, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'd probably just be with Delacroix here. I know what Deck is saying about he was disappointed last day. We were on our way into Crow Park today that he won in Sandown. We'd nearly turned the race off with 2 furlongs to go, and all of a sudden he just came flying down the outside. I don't think this isn't going to be as messy as York. And another thing about York was, I don't know if you've seen it beforehand, ITV had it he basically didn't want to come across the track. You know the way in York they have to walk down for ages and then come down into the parade ring. He didn't want to come down. He can act up like that. It'd be one to keep an eye on beforehand, see how he's acting.
There'll be nobody there, Luke, on Saturday. It hasn't been anyone there for the last 2 years. You barely know it was on. So he'd be fine.
Yeah, so the privileged few that are there will be able to see how he's acting up beforehand. Like Steck was saying, like he really did take your breath away that day in Sandown, how he got up after everything went wrong. I can just see this race panning out perfectly for him. He's drawn an 8 outside. Subion is just going to go out wide. I imagine Mount Kilimanjaro is going to be sent up the road here. Hot as hell will probably try and get a better position than he did over in America the last day when he was unlucky. He was too keen over in Sandown today. He was well bet behind Delacroix. White Birch is finally getting his ground, it looks like, but as Deck was saying, I think he might just want a bit of a step up in trip at this stage of his career. Kin Emperor was unlucky in the race last year, but I'm not sure the ground is going to be quick enough for him. I'd imagine he wants a bit quicker than it's going to be. And the rest of them, you'd be surprised if they got involved. Zaran, I was a big fan of him at the start of the season, and he's improving, but I'm just not sure he'd be as good as Delacroix if he turned up on his day.
Okay. So the takeaway there is if Delacroix plants himself on the par 5 beside the stables or on the hurdles track or chase track on the way across.
Abort mission.
Okay.
What is it? The stables are the far side of the course, so the cross, the middle of the course, basically.
Here
in York.
Yeah.
In York, they're miles away. They're completely
the far side of the course.
Yeah.
Then what's the Knavesmire?
It's the
middle of the track.
The land. It's the other
where the sheep are.
I suppose it's the area, isn't it?
Yeah, I just heard that he had to cross the Knavesmire. I was like he was crossing the mountains, like.
They played in there.
Everest.
Complete waste of land. Should have a golf course in there.
Stick the sheep in there. Put a garbage in there, no?
There's plenty of good stories. There's obviously, you ever heard the story of New Approach not wanting to go under the arch? Nearly got withdrawn from the Irish Derby.
Yeah.
At the Curragh. Remember the old arch at the parade? He's I'm not going under that.
Sure, Manju wouldn't go into the parade ring. John Hammond had to leg the travelling lad up.
Send me there.
He bought himself a new suit because he was going to Ascot, the French lad, and he wouldn't go in. So he had one more go there, so he gave him the leg up. Like, there's no camera phones in those days, so it's nobody captured it. But yeah, he rode him into the parade ring in his suit and his new shoes.
Yeah. Very good. I'm with Delacroix myself. I think he's the standard bearer, really. Rate 126. I think if he runs to that, he'll just win. I think that race at York was quite messy. He's probably better judged on his earlier season form. So I think Delacroix definitely the one to beat in the Champion Stakes. I hope we get it good.
Was the race at York messy, or was it just because the pacemaker went nuts.
I would have classified it as messy. Yeah, like I just like Delacroix was a long way off them. Like he spotted Ombudsman probably 3, 4, 5 lengths, I think. So like I don't think he was
He'd be a
ever
lot
going to catch
handier
him.
today. Or
Yeah,
Saturday.
he'd be handier. I think he'd be handier. There's, unless they let Mount Kilimanjaro. What price is Mount Kilimanjaro actually, just in case. Yeah, no, I think he'd be a lot closer to his pacemaker if assuming Mount Kilimanjaro goes forward. And yeah, I think he the distance he was off Ombudsman at York, he kind of finished at the line that distance behind. So yeah, I just think it was a bit messy, personally. Yeah, good. Hopefully, it's a good race. Well, it's always a great finish, the Irish Champions Stakes. You never see like a runaway winner of it. It's always a fantastic race. Hopefully, we get that again. But it'd be Delacroix for me. Last 2 races here at Leopardstown, then we'll fly through the Curragh maybe in 1 or 2 words because I don't want Dex fuel going to 0 here at the voice. So, right, the Petingo Handicap over a 1.5 miles. I fancy one at quite a big price here, actually, just because it's stepping down from Group Company. It's See the Boss for Jessie Harrington, come out of stall 13. She was kind of trending downwards on her last 2 runs, but I thought the run behind Sons and Lovers last time out was a step in the right direction and competitively weighted off 97, I think. Group 3 winner last year at Nice, and then was thought good enough to run in Group 1s and Group 2s last year in France. She was well beaten in the Prix Vermeil, ran quite well in a Group 2 at Deauville last summer. I thought that her last run was a step in the right direction. Big price around 25 to 1, stepping into back into handicap company. I could give Helvic Dream a chance as well because he's just in such phenomenal form as well. But it will be See the Boss for me, or See the Boss for me. Deck, do you have a fancy here for the Petingo?
Yeah, I'm gonna take 2 in here, Andy.
One.
Aeronautic. Won over course and distance last year. Tour to Sam Hawkins. They left the Derby behind with him now at Goldwood. Can't believe they left an E-bar behind as well. Oh, about bad.
Didn't even get an entry, yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this thing's unbeatable now. I'd say he'll handle the ground. I think he's ran well on Yale the soft. I'd say he'll handle it. And the other one is Helvic Dream. Group 1 winner on the flat, won the Tasco Cup. 2nd and 2 lucrative handicap hurdles. The Roivo and the Galway hurdle. Third in the Premier Handicap, the Curragh during the summer. Yeah, I think he's a big racing.
Yeah, I wouldn't much off Helvic Dream at all. In great form, as you said. Lukey, Petingo, who do you like?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about Helvic Dream. I'd go elsewhere. Just there's one in here that's always kind of caught my eye. London City. Not much went right for him in the E-board last day. He had a few quiet runs before that, but his penultimate run behind Al Rifa was a good run. Again, it was kind of with the E-board in mind. He won a handicap last year at Goldwood, and he looked bet everywhere. Turning in, he was under the pump, and he just stayed on. That's why I'm prepared to give him another chance after the E-board last day. He was out the back the whole time and never really got into it, but at a good 13 lengths. I don't think he's on a bad mark of 103. I think he is a group quality horse. He's around 12 to 1 there. The only thing is, sue me on in a handicap around Leopardstown. It might just get a bit tight around 4, but I'm hoping he gets out early. He's up in the van because he is a dour stayer and he's good and hardy.
Sue me on in a handicap around Leopardstown. Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually.
I was kind of hoping that one of the young lads would have been on taking off 5.
Yeah, well, they're not short them. Jack Cleary or Mark Crean, yeah. Anyway, yeah, that is an interesting one. Was it Jack Cleary? London City, the lead horse, is it? He's probably a lead horse in the yard. That's probably why he's still there.
Well, Aidan was doing lots of interviews before the Ebor, and he was saying like, he had to look after his mark for the Ebor, and he had a few good runs. Then he was out the back the whole time. You're like, for a stayer, first time in a big handicap field like that, I would have thought you'd be a bit closer to the pace, but maybe today would be today.
Yeah, but I suppose they're claiming off Light as Air in the first time blinkers, who a 3-year-old for Aidan O'Brien there. I can imagine he's going to be warm favourite. He's going to be a stupid price, I'd say. Given
I'd
he's won a
say
maiden
so.
last now. He
He's a
could
similar
be
profile to
2-1
last year's winner,
territory.
like.
Yeah, fighter. Yeah, he could be 2-1. Near the office, about 3-1, 7-2 at them, and I could see that one way traffic market for him now. I think he's a little bit hard to fancy though. I don't know if he's the best handicapped based on what he's done. Right, the Hong Kong Jockey Club World Pool Autumn Fillies Handicap finishes it off. It's a 1 mile race. Not sure I agree with the addition of this race. I think it takes him a couple of races, but anyway, that's a story for another day. I think this is you say that actually, and then there's 20 runners with 3 reserves, so maybe not. I don't know. Deck, I'll come back to you here. This is a very, very competitive race. Probably not a race you want to be chasing on, but who do you like?
And the Oil have had about 10 to 12 points by this stage. Oil have money rolling down my legs after all the winners they've had. The World Pool to be out of business. And you want me to look at a Phillies handicap?
Please,
no.
budget.
I didn't. No. I don't agree with the addition of this either.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't agree with the addition of this as a non-runner, but I'll leave you to it. I could be convinced into backing Serialize again, who I'm not going to, but she has her first time cheek pieces. She is £4 lower than her third in this race from Foxrock Village last year, and £7 lower than her second in a handicap at the Curragh in May. So she's definitely feasibly treated to go close. £5 claimed off her too. The one I'm going to go with is Lucius for Ger Lyons, Gary Carroll riding from stall 16. Ger Lyons has quite a few runners in this race, but she was very impressive on at Naas in June. It was a very winnable maiden. She won it well. She did get £7 for that. But she looked to me a filly that could be a big improver, and I think she'll enjoy soft ground being quite profitable. She could potentially be a black type filly in here off 84, so I think she'd have a very good chance. Lukey, who do you like?
Since Deck isn't putting up anything, I'll put up 2. They're both 25 to 1. I think the 2 of them are decent each way shouts. The main would be Plum Noir for Jerry Keane. Billy that loves being fresh. She loves a bit of soft ground. She ran well. She should be 5th on stable debut behind Goal Exceeded at the Curragh back in May. 7 furlongs just be a bit sharp for her these days. Like, she is kicking on at 7, but she's down to a mark. She's only £1 above her last winning mark when she won at Naas last year, first time up. I think the break in the soft ground is a big plus for her. She's drawn 6. Probably need a bit of luck and running at 25 to 1. Happily take a chance. And the other one is No Means Let Her Fly. Sam Cohen taking off £7. I think she's on a handy enough mark now. Like, she won her maiden at the Curragh last year over 6. She reappeared this year in the Curragh very early on in the season over a mile, and she was too keen, too fresh, and she never ran a race. She ran a bit better there the last day at Naas early in August. I think that left her fairly straight for this. Wearing cheek pieces for the first time. If she settles, I think she will get the trip. I thought she might have an each way chance there. She'll be ridden to get home. I could see her picking up a few pieces late on.
You doing a fair forecast, Luke?
Yeah, sure. Why not? The World Pool, as you're saying. Sure, are we not buzzing that there's 9 races on a Saturday in Leopardstown?
Oh, yes. Our pictures will be up in the World Pool shop. Don't take bets off these ads.
Those legendary
Danny want to go. Danny, we can't afford you anymore. The boys are at the cleaning us out.
Imagine that. Plum Noir, Let Her Fly. Who else we put in? Serialize and Lucius. You could go up there and do your tricast and forecast. Deck after his 10-12 points, soiling himself over the counter, trying to put on the bet. I can imagine the picture right now.
You bad. Just let me have one more bet. €5 combination tricast.
On the Phillies handicap. Very good. Right, lads. We'll move on really quick to the Curragh, because we're probably going to keep people here all night. In 1 or 2 words, because we're working without declarations here. The Bold lads, the first race. Do either of you have a fancy? Just say pass if you do or don't, Luke.
If Betson ran here, I think he might have a chance. I'd only be taking a chance on him. Like, he's ran well in handicaps this year. off high weights. He gets in here off a lower weight, it'd be a better race. I think he might just have a few pounds up his sleeve off 86. Like, the draw is going to be a big thing for this race, so it's kind of suffer and see.
Very good. I think. Well, look, John Riggins' mark, the arse has fallen out of its trousers now. It's 75. If he breaks on time, he was a big high catcher the last day. He should get in. I'd imagine they've been working back from this, ring the klaxon. And I think he's got a great chance. Deck, do you like anything in the bold, lad?
Yeah, I think we said that to each other. And
we did. I think we texted each other, I'm pretty sure.
I actually backed him that day, and I thought he came home really well. So, John Riggins, nap at the tap, I think.
John Riggins have the lot on. if
You'll be showing up to the Curragh Sunday just to back him going home after the first.
Gold-plated teeth. Right, I could imagine anyone could care less about the Tattersalls Ireland Super Auction Sprint.
This is a good race.
Go on, who do you like?
Aquabear.
I'm going to go do 2 cards the weekend.
Listen, first time up it was Muller that Goran first time up came out of the stalls and the horse inside him went out and just dragged him out. It was race over, but he ran well at Nace the last day. Kind of just had his pocket picked late on by Fresh Fade, hit the front, looked like he was going to win. It's probably a bit of inexperience there in the hill, and Nace just caught him out. Again, the draw is going to be big here, but if he gets a decent draw, preferably high, it's usually where you want to be on the straight sprints course at the Curragh. 6 furlongs, flatter track. I think he could be the one there.
Very interesting. Deck, did you find that in the sales race? Why am I even asking you this? No chance.
Whatever Luke said.
I need to actually find the conditions for this race. This race is awful every year. It's usually won by a horse rated in the low 80s.
Do you want them? I'll give it to you now. Ready?
For 2-year-olds.
It's for 2-year. It's like 135,000.
Which have been sold or bought in under the hammer of Tats
Ireland. I have the conditions in front of me.
Yeah, Tats Ireland, yeah. But it's always won by a horse like in the 80s, and it's race worth about 135,000
a few years ago.
Oh, you're thinking of One Look. I think that was the 500 grand one. That's later in the year. If that's
Maybe,
the one on debut.
Yeah.
One Look. That was a different race, but it's like even advertised there for Grand Tour, like that's gonna have a favourites chance almost, and it's no world beater, and it has a good chance of winning 135 blips or connections. So I don't understand why.
It's a good race for connections though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's just about ratings, Andy, in the conditions.
No, it's done by the purchase price. But for whatever reason, it's never. There's loads of trainers, smaller trainers, usually throw their horses at it for throwing a dart at it, which is absolutely what they should do. But I'm just always kind of baffled that you don't get black type horses in it.
It does mention you need a name to run in the race.
Oh dear.
Yeah, that's genuinely in the conditions.
You need a name. Name your horse. Name and train. Right, I've no opinion on that. The 240 then is what's probably the Blandford, is it? No, it's the Moyglaire. They've changed it as well this year. Okay, so the Moyglaire Stud Stakes Group 1, 12 runners as of right now, and your favourite is Composing, who we've talked a little bit about. Is anyone for or against Composing? We also have Venetian Sun, the Group 1 winner.
I'd be against her. I like Beautify here. She did beat Lady Aman at the Curragh, but she might have had some excuses. She bounced back to form at Goodwood, which I didn't expect. Now I know she was well beaten in the Nunthorpe, but I don't think you're out to run in the Nunthorpe. I would be, if I had one I thought was capable, I'd be probably waiting to go to France on Arc Day, especially if they like a bit of cut in the ground. But I wouldn't be trying to blow their brains at York in August. So I think that stepping up to 7 furlongs will suit, and I'd like Beautify.
Yeah, I'm fully with you on Beautify myself. She was a week in the market behind Valentina on her debut, and then we both fancied her, I think, to turn over Lady Iman that day at the Curragh. It was one of our last pods before our break. Very unexposed. I think she's got a very, very good chance, and Aidan O'Brien has won this race a number of times with second and third strings, including Mining. It was not the first string when she won it. Right, Lukey, who do you like?
Oh no, I'm happy to sit down. No.
You're happy to sit out the Mile Glare. Just don't, don't edit it into your coverage. Hey, go on. So the Bar 1 Racing Flying 5 Stakes, 5 furlongs. Anybody have an opinion on that one?
Yeah, do you know what? In what's an absolutely woeful division across Europe at the moment, I would be tempted to play 2 stars here in fine form. Won 3 of the last 4. 2 of them are handicaps, but it was a listed race the last day, and you don't have to find on paper he's to find a bit on ratings, but let's be honest, you don't. You need a bit of luck in sprints in Europe at the moment, and he's definitely a horse on an upward curve and could spring a bit of a surprise.
Okay, that's an interesting one. I would have been all over Arizona Blaze if he didn't disgrace himself in the Nunthorpe. Could have just been the ground being too fast for him. But I'm not confident enough to back him after that. Luke, do you have any fancy for the Flying 5?
I'm going to take a chance on Arizona Blaze. I'm going to forgive him that. Like, he went off favourite in the Nunthorpe. I thought he was very good the time before. The Curragh over course and distance.
Yeah.
First time over 5 in Ireland. He ran over in France at the start of the year. Over 5. Like, it's mad the campaign this horse has had. Like, he started off in a 6 furlong race at Dundalk the middle of March before going on to a Guineas trial where he didn't stay. I think they found their niche here with 5 furlongs. I think if he runs here, which I imagine he will, it'd be interesting to see who David Egan decides to ride between him and the other one in their colours.
Fuerte.
Yeah. I'd be hoping they'd be on Arizona Blaze and he'd probably go off a bit shorter than 8-1.
Okay. Yeah, I suppose I if he's 8-1, I didn't actually see that. I don't have the price in front of me, but I can understand that. I can maybe get behind it at that price. Right, Arizona Blaze then. National Stakes is next at 350. Gastad is going to be odds on here. Does anybody oppose him?
Yeah, I do. I think look, Sabbath Desert won the superlative. Charlie Appleby's won this race before with Native Trail, I think is the one that comes to mind. He beat Italy at Newmarket, and Italy has gone close since at York. And then Zarateri, is he going to run here or?
I would imagine they will run him. Yeah, he's been very impressive. He won a penalty at Goodwood as well. Yeah,
he has been arguably. I know we're all raving about Stad here, but he was only pipped by a filly, was it?
She's running the Mile Glare. Yeah,
Noville. Yeah, I think Zarateri has arguably been the standout 2-year-old this season. He even went to Goodwood, as you said, with a penalty, and got the job done. Got the job done well. Like in Goodwood, you know what Goodwood's like. It's an absolute kip of a place to have a bet, and good horses get beaten, and it's a funny track. Would I run a good horse? I actually think it's the most overrated festival of the lot. Nobody ever remembers a Goodwood Group 1 winner. Like, it's not, they just not ones that spring to mind. It's a funny place that gets those of funny results. But this horse went there and got the job done when, like, you could still be saying he's the standout 2-year-old and I'm going to put a line through the Goodwood run because, he's beaten him with Goodwood. That's how bad the place is. But he got the job done, and yeah, I think he's a standout 2-year-old. If he runs here, I think he wins.
Interesting. That's a bold shout. Luke, do you like anything there?
No, I'll happily sit back and watch. See how this plays out.
I'd be definitely reserving myself against Gastad at odds on. I still think there's a lot of improvement to come out of Italy, but you'd be hard pressed to see him.
You backed him for all the classics as well.
I had him to win the lot myself. Yeah, and then I think Sabbath Desert has a good chance. I very much agree with John Zavateri. I think he's been really impressive for Eve Johnson Houghton.
You got a price on him at the moment, have you?
4-1.
4-1.
If he was trained by Charlie Appy or Aidan O'Brien, what price he?
It's a good point. Yeah, he'd be challenging. He'd be probably half that, wouldn't he? He'd probably have Gastad at evens, probably, give or take.
Is he? What's the race at Doncaster?
The Champagne Stakes.
He's definitely not running that now.
He'd have another penalty, and it would make no sense. I think Puerto Rico is the only horse in here that is going to run in the. He's declared for the Champagne. Oh no, he is. It's hold on there. We should have. Let me check. No, he's not. So we've got Puerto Rico is the only one in here that's in the Champagne. I believe.
Right, the world pill. Yeah. Join it. There'll be a recession in China.
Right then, the Comer Group International Irish St. Ledger is next. Interesting enough race. We've Illinois in here, who obviously got beat by Scandinavia. That form could look a little bit different quite shortly after Saturday. We've got who else? We got Leinster, who won a trial. He's a big price. I could see him actually going quite well. Al Rifa, who showed he stayed this trip last time out. Al Kareem, quite tough, but blotted his copybook a little bit last time as well. Not a bad Irish Ledger, and obviously Amalok as well, who is gelded. 3-year-old gelding who won there at Ascot the last day, beating Zamaran in the King Edward. So a decent race. Who do you like here, Deck? Or do you have an opinion?
Rico wins this with his head in his chest.
Right, okay. That's confident.
Sure, like, he's the class horse of the race. Like, he's probably second in the Hardwick this summer. I think we covered the race the last day. We said,
if he stays, he wins.
Yeah, if he stays, he wins. Like, did he win with his head in his chest the last day?
He won very easily. Yeah, it was a piece of work, really. Yeah.
He's like, he's a class act. He's a proper Group 1 middle distance horse.
See, the reason Trust Your Instinct isn't coming here.
Probably, yeah.
Probably is. Joseph thinks he can win them both. Lukey, do you agree? Al Rifa?
I have the exact opposite. No, I just don't see him as a Group 1 horse.
He finishes last with his head in his chest.
He won a national stakes.
Yeah, but like, did you see what he bet? Proud and Regal, like.
What? Going back to a Ledger and a Derby.
I know he's second behind City of Troy last year in the Eclipse, but like, City of Troy didn't show up that day. Like, he's second behind Rebels Romance, like that. He has to go abroad to find his Group 1s. Al Rifa had to do the same. I'd be disappointed if Illinois can't put this lad away now. I know he's impressive the last day. I couldn't have him. I just think he's a solid Group 3, Group 2 horse. Whereas Illinois is that proper Group 1 horse. He's come through the year. He was bet by Scandinavia the last day, but he's given him plenty of weight.
How can
he's
Illinois
unexposed.
be a proper Group 1 horse? Like, over what, hurdle distance?
Sure, he was second behind Los Angeles last year in York in the fall tour. Then he was second in a Ledger behind Jan Bruegel. One of the best Ledgers that's probably been run in the last few years.
Has any of those horses that beat him won since?
Jan Bruegel won a Coronation, didn't he? I'd call
he
that
won a
Coronation.
He beat Calandigan in a Coronation.
Another Group 1, nobody ever remembers.
It was a great race.
I love
Even Japan won a Coronation a few years ago.
Oh God, rolling out the best hits here.
So Nicholas Abbey is the last good Coronation Stakes winner.
Coronation Cup.
Coronation Cup.
Emily Upjohn won it too, didn't she?
I think she disgraced herself, and did she? No.
Yeah, she won it one year and then she disgraced herself the second year, I think. that was the year that Japan won, I think.
Oh God.
Anyway, back onto the more pressing matter of Illinois making Al Rifa look like a schoolboy here. Like, he was just bet for stamina the first day in Ascot behind Trawlerman. It wasn't his plan to go for the Gold Cup this year until Kyprios got injured. I just think he's just a far better horse than Al Rifa here. I think he's been the same price as tempting me into have a good go at Illinois here.
Oh jeez.
I think Al Rifa has Illinois for a turn of foot. Personally, I don't think he's going to be outstaying Al Rifa. I don't think we'll get to that stage. Personally, but I think I could see Leinster run the big race. I think this is his trip, and he is fairly unexposed over it. I think he was beaten in a handicap, obviously the Ascot Stakes over 2.5 miles just before that, but I think a mile and 6 is his bag, and I could actually see him running into the places. If we got 3 places, I'd back him each way, but I would be with Alrifa here myself to do it. Right, the 5 that I've got, I don't like the Blanford Stakes at 5 o'clock, but anyway, here we are. 14
You don't
left.
like it even more after Illinois wins.
No, I'll be gone home at this stage. Right, so this race is very difficult without declarations, I suppose. Anyone have an opinion on it?
I might be tempted to play Paddy Toomey's
One look.
Yeah, I think.
I know she'd want soft ground, though. That's the only problem. She's won on good yielding, and yielding. I suppose she would. I suppose it'd be out. Yeah. Okay. No, actually, it's quick ground. She probably doesn't want. Sorry. Yeah. No, my bad.
I don't think she won the Goss Million on debut and kind of looks like she's a lot of potential that day and wasn't fulfilling it, but I think she's getting back to
where she was.
The potential that she showed that day.
Yeah. We've Red Letter, who's completely unexposed at the trip as well, won a Group 3 2 weeks ago over this 9 furlongs to Blanford, 10. She won a group race over 9 furlongs there the last day. She'd have to have a chance. Probably hasn't gone on to what people expected of her this season, but there's still time, I suppose. Luke, do you have an opinion on the Blanford?
No
opinion. Might follow you in on one look deck, but I don't really have an opinion on the race as a whole. Last race is the Northfields Handicap over 10. If anybody has an opinion on this one, speak up now.
I'll have been barred from the World Pool for the second time.
For the second time.
I don't get to have a bet on.
I'd give Tribal Star a good chance.
Tribal
I'll
Star.
have gone to the Curragh with a fake moustache on. And I've had so many points by the time this comes out of falling off. They'll be like,
it was him. Tribal Star, son of Sea the Stars for Aidan McGuinness. Luke, he won last time out with Dundalk, yeah?
Yeah, out of a pivotal mare there, so I don't think the soft ground's going to be an issue that we're likely going to have on Sunday. It looks like we're going to get a good drop of rain on Sunday, which is going to make it a bit more testing. Like, he won off 88 up in Dundalk last day. He's probably not as good on turf. Still rated lower off 85. They've been trying. He ran some good race over further during the summer months. He went over to the Northumberland Plate and was 4th. I think a good strong mile and a quarter is probably his optimum. Bit of slow ground should help. I think he'll probably be a big enough price. I'd take a chance on him.
Very good. Well, that brings us to an end of our Irish Champions Festival coverage. Right. Does anybody have a nap? Do we have a nap at the tap? We probably don't. I don't think we all agreed on one. Deck and I agreed on a few. Lukey and Deck agreed on a few.
Actually, you just go with Alrifa.
Yeah, we'll take Alrifa to mug you off, I suppose, in the Irish Ledger.
Yeah.
I think they're saying maybe more so.
Yeah, Sarah saying I suppose you could talk me into it. I did say that I wasn't mad on having a bet on the Matron, but like I could be talked into it at the price she's at. Which is I suppose like I could go Diamond Necklace or Montreal, but I just look like they're just too short to be saying they're naps. I do like Convergent as well in the Group 3. And I suppose, Lukey, we were quite big on
Yakuza.
I would very much fancy him Shakuza around 3-1 mark. So yeah, Shakuza, Alrifa, and look, I'll put in Diamond Necklace because I do think she'll win. That would be my Trixie for the week. Yeah, they'd be the big ones. Deck, do you have anything really sitting out to you?
Look, the each way Bolivian, I suppose.
Everything.
Caught you sleeping, Tribal Nation. I'll throw two in the Group 3, Trust Your Instinct and some charts. They're saying Cope with Cabana Sands, and then two in the Petingo, Aeronautic and Helvig Dream.
Very good, and that's what gets you banned from the World Pool. Lukey, what's it?
Down out of the World Pool. Go up and ask the World Pool. You do Bolivians. You have to call it Beijing. You're a 3 cent each way Beijing here.
That's I'll try and find a random city in China that we can call it. Anyway, go on, Lukey. What's your best bets on the card? Do you have any?
Illinois Sunday.
Of course. Well, look, at least one of us is probably going to have one of the three of us is going to have the winner of the Irish Leather. But on that, we'll leave it to an end. So thank you, anyone that has listened. Like, share, and subscribe, all the good stuff if you don't mind. Had a lot of fun, and we'll be back soon. Hopefully, Deck's voice is none the worse in the morning, and you can join us soon for Listowel and beyond. All the best, guys. Thank you very much, and bye bye.